Hey, this is Senator Justin Reedy coming to you from Annapolis at the end of the 8th week of the 2024 General Assembly session. Two big issues I want to talk about this week. First of all, myself and Delegate Chris Tomlinson introduced legislation to go after people who are dealing drugs in our community, particularly fentanyl. People who deal fentanyl where it leads to the death or the serious bodily injury of a person. Right now, law enforcement and our prosecutors, their hands are really tied to go beyond just simple sort of drug dealing possession charges. There's not a lot that they can do to put drug dealers in jail for long periods of time unless they can prove that somebody's some sort of drug kingpin, which is a much higher standard to prove. And so these drug dealers in our communities all over the state, from Baltimore to the Eastern Shore to Western Maryland to Westminster, are dealing heroin and other types of drugs with fentanyl in it. They know fentanyl's in it, and it's killing people. And we've done a lot over the years to try to add more resources for drug treatment and to help people who find themselves in addiction. We're certainly doing a lot in our school system locally and are in the community to try to warn people, please don't ever start taking drugs, please. But it's gone from being a problem of people getting addicted, which is terrible, to people literally it being a death sentence. And the people pushing this poison in our communities really are walking away, often with a slap on the wrist. And it's not necessarily the fault of our prosecutors or law enforcement. It's the law does not have a good mechanism for going after people who are intentionally peddling poison. So our bill, Delegate Tomlinson and I, working with a bipartisan group of co-sponsors, we have support from Republicans and Democrat officials all over the state, from counties, to say we want, if you sell fentanyl and it leads to the death or the bodily dismemberment of somebody, that you can serve up to 20 years in jail. It's not a mandatory minimum sentence. Those can be very hard to pass through the legislature, but it allows judges and prosecutors to be able to work to get somebody put away for as much as 20 years for killing somebody with fentanyl. And so that's engendered a lot of attention. We have victims and the families of victims from all over Maryland coming to testify. We had some very moving stories. And I'm actually feeling positive and optimistic we may be able to get something done this session because of the broad-based support. And so Delegate Tomlinson and I are going to continue to work on that issue together. The other big news that's come out this week, in addition to all the busy time we've had on the floor and in committees, the other big news we've had this week is Maryland's House Democratic leadership has introduced an outrageous tax proposal, HB 1515, that would expand the sales tax to pretty much every service in the state. Right now, professional services, gym memberships, other types of services are not taxed with the sales tax. This would put the 6% state sales tax on every service pretty much in the state. And it amounts to a $3 billion tax hike. And this is in addition to other tax bills that have been proposed by House Democrats. I'm thankful that in the Senate, our Republicans have stood firm, along with our House Republican colleagues, to say this should not happen. We should not be raising taxes, particularly on working families and frankly poor people who would be most impacted by a sales tax increase or tax increases in general. The Senate president has actually come out and said he does not want to do tax increases this session, which I'm glad to hear him say. We're going to continue to fight to be sure that we kill HB 1515. No one should be paying higher taxes considering the state of our economy and where things are. And so I look forward to keeping you posted on that. But that was the big news this week, is somehow the House Democrats, I question what's going on in some folks' minds, because people cannot afford some terrible draconian, very regressive tax hike. And so we're gonna be fighting very hard to hold the line on taxes. Next week, there will be a lot of news coming out about the state budget and other issues. I look forward to updating you then on that and the progress of some of the other legislation I have. Again, it's always a real privilege and honor to serve you in the Senate. Please feel free to reach out to me anytime, and I look forward to talking with you in the near future. Thank you, and God bless.